Hello, Amir. Morning.
Good morning, Professor Rico.
Hello, Mr. Amir. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Rashdan.
Oh, hello, yes.
Can you check the WhatsApp? I sent a few things to the WhatsApp group.
Dr. Nilasi is ready, yeah?
Not yet. So we are trying to reach him.
Mr. Amir, I think we can start ready. Dr. Nilasi, you join ready.
Okay, you ready, Prof?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Rashdan. Hello, Mr. Rashdan. Okay. So, okay. Very good morning to ladies and gentlemen. On the behalf of ITTP COVID-19 Secretariat, it is such an honor and pleasure to welcome you to the ITTP COVID-19 webinar on paper publications writing. My name is Amiruddin. I will become your host and for the today's event. This webinar also streamed via YouTube ITTP COVID-19. So for those who are unable to join this webinar via Zoom meeting, also can stream this webinar via our YouTube because due to limitations of the webinar today. Next question. Okay, I would like to remind to all the participants and inform to the participant, this webinar will provide the certificate for those who are fill up and answer the survey. It's just like we see the screen. There is a barcode. You can scan the QR code by using your smartphone. If you don't have your smartphone with you right now, you can click the link. And I believe that the Secretariat already shared the link in the chat box. So please make sure you fill up the survey form so that the Secretariat will issue the certificate to you later after the webinar sessions. Okay, next. Next one. So this is our rundown or agenda for today's webinar. There will be opening that we have conducted just now. And also there is an introduction from ITTP COVID Journal Chairman, Professor Iko Dr. Supriyanto. And next followed by our main agenda, which is lecture on the journal writing by Dr. Nilasi. And of course, there will be Q&A session during this webinar. And before we are closing the webinar session, there will be photo sessions. Please welcome ITTP COVID-19 General Chairman, Professor Insinyur Dr. Iko Supriyanto. He will deliver some introductions on today's webinar and related to the ITTP COVID-19. Professor Iko, the time is yours.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Amir. So let me share my screen. So, can you see my screen already?
Yes, Prof. We see the screen already.
Yeah. So, in case, because my internet is not really well connected, please download from the email, and then I will explain later if anything happen. Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah. So, very good morning, everyone that attending this webinar, very short webinar. Yeah, just to introduce on how we write a paper so that the paper having suitable or good quality to be submitted to our conference. So the webinar today having title ITTP COVID-19 proceeding or journal paper writing. Few things that I will deliver this morning. Basically, I will talk on the motivations and then publication pathway, acceptance criteria for our journal, and best papers, publication list, and then what we will do for the next. So just to remind one more, if you check in our website, we already passed our deadline for the abstract submission, 21st of June, but still we are waiting for the extended abstract and full paper. The accepted abstract can be submitted, can be improved if need revise, and then need to be submitted before or on July 20. Or you can also directly extend abstract or full paper before 20 July. It means we still have few days to go. So, and then the full paper for Scopus Index journal submission deadline is varies, depend on the journal publisher or our partner journal. So until now, we already obtained or received 318 abstract or extended abstract. Yeah, actually in our system we have around 333. Only few of them I think we need to reject at the beginning because there are some not really comply our requirement. So and then we also remind that registration is between 30 June until 30 July 2021, and then the conference event is 6 August until 8 August 2021. The meeting for today basically is to guide young researchers or authors in completing full paper for ITTP COVID proceeding or journal. So this is basically the publication pathway that we have. You can submit either extended abstract or abstract, and the submission deadline is by early this week. And then now we are conducting review for the final paper still left okay few, and then okay the latest acceptance that we'll give on the 30th June, and then okay we give time for the revision if required, and the paper must be presented in the conference. After that, on the 17th on the 17th August, most probably is the final submission. And then yeah, our team working hard to have the ITTP proceeding published before 31st of August 2021. So this is the pathway for the abstract. And then okay, the abstract, if yeah, you want to have the full paper after revision, you can also direct integrate it with the full paper. And then in the full paper, the deadline is 20 July. Yeah. And then okay, there will be review, notifications, and then this is not really acceptance, but I mentioned here notification. But okay, the full paper need to be presented, and there will be selections on the 6 to 8 August. Okay, after that, okay, we qualify the paper into two groups. One is the paper to be published in the ITTP proceeding, and paper to be published in our partner journal. And then okay, yeah, for the publication same with them. And then if you are selected to submit to the journal, then there will be submission for the journal, acceptance, and then depend on the journal. Okay, the publication in Scopus journal will be hopefully can be done by this year, but maybe at latest okay early next year. So I think this is okay the pathway okay for the abstract and also full paper. That is okay to pathway. And then for the extended abstract is okay exactly like okay abstract. Same, but only the submissions on the 20 July, and then the acceptance will be 31st of okay July, and then need to be presented, and then final submission, and then published in proceeding, because extended abstract have some limitation in terms of pages. So it means here okay all the paper need to be presented. This is okay one, and then we have okay a few pathway for the publications. Also to remind one more, the acceptance criteria for our proceeding. Yeah, the proceeding now is okay. We are in progress. Okay, to get the Scopus index. Yeah, the mark here considered as okay novelty contribution to the ASEAN community, and then also okay scientific contributions. And then we have the language, readability, writing style, and then format according to guideline. And then the completeness of the paper, which is starting from the abstract until reference, include intro, material, result, and conclusions. So there will be okay 9 awards. Yeah, will be given. Yeah, 3 of each okay track. Yeah, first prize, second prize, and third prize. Yeah, in the engineering, health science, and okay social science. For the publications, okay, we have okay 2 group of publication, which is okay one in the ITTP proceeding. Okay, this is include abstract, yeah, extended abstract, and then okay full paper. For the full paper, yeah, I think our committee is working hard to obtain the Scopus index, okay, for this ITTP COVID-19 proceeding. And okay, we have also option for potential partner journal, but this is depend on the okay each journal. Yeah, but you can communicate with us. Yeah, we have okay in the engineering. We have okay 3 here. We have in the health science, we have lots, and then we have 2 okay for social science. But okay, hopefully coming soon. Okay, the other potential or partner journal. So and then okay, this is last. Okay, I mean okay, the next workshop. Yeah, our team also okay will conduct the next workshop. Okay, for young researcher also that interested to have the data analysis and data analytic, which is what is quite will take a long of time, 12 hours, on how we able to analyze the data and then to use the method in the data analytics, to analyze the I mean okay to collect the data until okay to present the data. This is also okay one of the way how to have very good quality of the paper, so that okay your paper can be accepted in the Q1 journal for the future. It's including the qualitative and quantitative analysis, and then so okay include also the data collection method. We will introduce software And then also, okay, using Smart Plus, okay, for the quantitative analysis. We also introduce machine learning, hybrid methodology for data analysis, conducting literature review, and then, okay, we use Weaver for bibliometric analysis, discussion, and conclusion. This is that will be given in, okay, a few weeks from now. So last but not least, yeah, welcome. We have the third webinar with the title of How Mindfulness Can Help Us in the Recovery of COVID-19. If someone having, okay, yeah, starting problem with the psychology or, okay, stress because, okay, this COVID, okay, please, okay, attend, okay, this webinar. This may fresh, okay, your mind. So this is will be done on the 29th June 2021 and hosted by University of Malaya. So that's all, okay, from me, Mr. Amir. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, hope everyone enjoy the webinar today. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan okay, salam sejahtera, selamat pagi.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Iko, for the introductions to this webinar and the ITTP COVID-19 conference, especially. I hope this short introduction from Professor Iko give a better understanding regarding this webinar and especially for the ITTP COVID-19 conference. So we are next come to the next our agenda is main agenda for today's webinar, which is lecture on journal writing by Dr. Merbah Nilasi. But before I pass this session, I would like to read his CV. Next. Okay, Dr. Merbah Nilasi, he received his bachelor degree in computer engineering from Islamic Azad University, as well as his master from in industrial engineering from Iran University of Science and Technology. He also has received his doctor in computer science from University Technology Malaysia. His current designation is research fellow in School of Biosciences and Medical Engineering, University Technology Malaysia, and his research area are in machine learning, data analytics, health informatics, and environmental informatics. Dr. Nilasi has successfully published more than around 228 journal papers in a Google Scholar, as well as in the Scopus with a total number of 131 journal papers. So without any further ado, I would like to pass this session to Dr. Nilasi. Dr. Nilasi, this time is yours.
Hello, Amir. Hello, Prof. And hello, everyone that
Morning.
in this good morning to all young researcher, doctor, and professor. So thank you, Prof, for the good introduction you had. And today, actually, I want to present my some experience that I had during this 10 years of my research in University Technology Malaysia. And this will maybe helpful for the young researcher to conduct good research, and we continue this workshop for the future for other matters. So this Mr. Amir also introduced, I had more than 200 full papers in the Google Scholar. You can see my Google Scholar, and this come from today's workshop will come from my experience, and this is not based on the other, for example, other presentation that the researcher had before. So the outline of this research today will be, this workshop will be, we will have some introduction, manuscript preparation, proceeding and journal selection, manuscript submission and review process, manuscript review process. Here we will have again, and then conclude. I will conclude the workshop. First, we must know that which work we should publish, and this is important. So you have my screen now?
Not yet, Dr. Nilasi. Can you share the screen?
No, I think is available, Prof.
Yeah, okay, available.
So about 70, I think 77 slide I will present, and I just provide my experience that I did these 10 years. And this all come from my papers. And this experience I have and I will provide for you. So maybe this is not, for example, in line with the some perspective that you have, but I could be successful in publication in high impact journal, and any journal I aimed, I could get acceptance. So I found that this fellow I have, I can be successful. My co-author also, I provided such experience. They also had good experience and have been successful in the publication. Then we are now a team, and then we are doing good research. So this all from my experience, and this maybe you get some good idea from this. Here, first, I want to start with the introduction, and then the aim is what we want to publish. The issue is of many researchers are that they are not aware of the new topics. So the first step is discovering new topic. New topic is important to be discovered, and then we go for a research paper or any research material we want to publish. The old topics will not be accepted, and we cannot simply get acceptance of this old work in the journal. So all titles, all topics should be enough new and novel. There must be a contribution for that work to be published. So editors are seeking for the new and novel idea. They are actually, if they are editor, they are expert in that area. That journal, they are editors. So 99% they are expert. And from my experience, I found they see that this work is novel or new, that they will consider for the next step to be reviewed by the other reviewer. If no, is the work is not novel, they will give a desk rejection and they will reject. So I think repeating the old idea will not be helpful. We should search for new idea. This come from where? This come from our reading, daily reading, weekly reading. So we must be active researcher. If you are not active, actually leave the research, and then you will not be successful. This is from my experience that 10 years I had in from my PhD. This so here report of no scientific interest we cannot publish. Out of the old work we cannot be, so duplication of previous published work. Even your work you duplicate, and many researchers are doing that. Just duplicate. They repeat the risk. They want to have a quantity, no quality. So this is a main issue of the researcher. And then many editors also found that they are fake, and they cancel many of these researchers in the, for example, publishers. So my perception is that we never repeat our previous work, and this is not a value for us. Incorrect, unacceptable conclusion also no work. Somebody publish fake things, and then the other people will be repeating that, so this will not be helpful. Okay, we have mainly three type of paper. One is research papers that in our conference also we have such. Later short communication that recently I published for COVID. For example, nowadays COVID is a hot topic. And for example, I did the impact of trace element and CAM complementary in COVID-19 treatment or prevention. So these new topics can be letter or short communication, letter to the editor. So my suggestion is that if you have a new idea, provide this in a letter or short communication to the editor. So you will get simply acceptance, because that they are hot topic, and this hot topic will discover something never explored before in the literature. Even in the COVID, you can see many new topics come, and simply you can get acceptance, and your idea. The main thing is your idea will be published, and you will be happy to publish that very, and people are reading that new idea. So this is no interest, my interest also. Another thing is review paper. That review paper should summarize the previous recent development on a specific topic. So here, this can be from the methods. For example, new methods in one array we have. So one researcher come and summarize them. And the listing of the paper will not be here helpful. We must discuss nicely the papers. We go for their results, discover what they did, and we summarize them in a good literature review paper. So here, the literature review paper from my experience, if you want to do, the topic must be novel again, and you must do a in-depth discussion on these papers. So if you have such aim, you can publish review paper. Many editor will not accept such paper because the author will go just simply list the paper. This listing the paper, it will not be helpful and is not value. Just maybe you can get some in journal that are not very high impact. So review paper will discuss finding of previous method or original research. So both can be methods. For example, I did fuzzy logic method in disease diagnosis, so I could get acceptance. And then I found many shortcomings of previous methods. So here we can discuss the shortcoming or limitation of the previous method. And the original research, for example, in COVID-19, we can see the vaccine, for example, treatment, and we can explore again what vaccine research has been done in during COVID. So we can summarize and get good result and conclude them. This is three main of papers, and we can have in our in conference we can have such papers, and letter or short communication also we can have. And this I think is will be very good choice. So here's some example. The 2000, for example, I think 15, 15, yeah, but with Prof. Echo, we published one paper. This is a research paper. This is a short communication that I published recently, can complementary and alternative medicine be beneficial in the treatment of COVID-19. And I did a good discussion, and you can see that this discussion come to a conclusion, and you can read this paper in the in the Science Direct. Another will be a review paper. This review paper, as I mentioned before, two types we will have: the method analysis and also discussion on the previous research paper. So this is the method part. I summarized and did a meta-analysis with my co-authors. So this is three types as example. Maybe you can find also my paper in the Science Direct. All type of paper I had by now, and all have been ISI. About 100 paper have been ISI in this type. Okay, this is the this introduction of what we want to publish and what type of paper we can publish. Another thing is how we want to prepare our manuscript, what is the procedure. So this part is very important. And again, I want to say this is my experience and from my previous publication. One paper that I want to here discuss is research paper, that people mainly put the effort on the research paper. So the research paper has its main sections. So we must follow that. That's Prof. Echo mentioned. In our conference also, we should have such section for the papers. The topic of paper, the title, the abstract, the keyword, these three elements is important. Then I will discuss about this. The main text that what cover is introduction, literature review, method, data analysis and result, discussion, implication, and limitation. So this part, actually, I followed all time in my research paper. And every time I followed this section, I could get acceptance in high impact journal. So my suggestion is that we don't leave such section. We have all, even we have a one paragraph for implication, we should provide. This make happy the reviewer, this make happy the editor to consider your work. So means that the editor will see, okay, this he or she has a good attempt on the this research, and at least we provide such section. So the last section will be conclusion, acknowledgement, and reference, and the supplementary the data. So here I want to discuss one by one, and I provide my experience that I had before. The thing is that for all conference, for example, the abstract, the many students and researcher will send the abstract of their paper. So here it is important we follow a instruction for the abstract. The abstract must cover the main elements, and always in my research I followed that. And I found that this type, if I do, is appropriate, and the editor will consider to send a paper for further review. So here, the two statement I provide, the abstract serve as an advertisement of the article. That is is correct. And I found that first perception that editor will find from is from the abstract. So abstract we must provide very nicely. I will later discuss about this. The abstract can impact the reviewer to develop a further toward the manuscript. So here, this impact is important. What we provide in the abstract, and that we change the editor perception or or reviewer perception. So here, the main element of the abstract will be introduction. We should have introduction means that the problem we are investigating, we must introduce that. For example, sustainability in the university has been a hot topic in the current research. So introduction we should provide. Problem statement we should have. So, but for example, however, will be a start about this. The next is the research objective. What is the objective of this research after the problem statement? So we define the problem statement. Now we should provide our objective and contribution. So the next one is what methodology we want to use to solve the problem. That we define a problem, so we must solve. Which methodology is important? Which methodology is novel or not novel, but we solve the issue. So we do the analysis of the or data. So then after methodology, we will provide or result, and then conclusion and implication. So in methodology part, we should provide about data collection, and later I will discuss whole things. So this part is not just method, is the procedure of the data collection, where, and this part must be complete. Okay, this is abstract. This all section we must follow. And in my paper, maybe some, for example, short abstract I couldn't provide. For example, the introduction directly. I went to the problem state. So this is important. This section we must follow in the abstract. Okay, the three type of abstract we have. Descriptive abstract is often very short and not more than 100 words. Informative abstract, in many research paper we can see that this type of abstract, and also is about 200 to 500. Mainly I use 250 and less than 300 in my paper. So if the paper has this average words, so I think is appropriate. So we should provide such a number of words in or informative abstract. This can be informative abstract is mainly in the research paper we have. So this type of abstract, the 90% they follow this type of abstract. In a structure abstract that many medical journal provide are the section based on the some section, some labeled heading that we have in the abstract. So this we cannot say that how many keywords should we have exactly, and I found that they are vary in the different manuscript the different research papers. So here I provide one example of this abstract from my paper. So you can follow such, but you can see first I introduced, have introduction, then I had a problem statement. So here I go for my research aim, and then I provided the methodology. Then I go to the result and then implication. The proposed model is short implication of the whole abstract. We can provide the last sentence. And in our conference also, ITTP, we must follow such. So introduction, then problem statement, objective, and contribution, then methodology, result, and conclusion and implication. We should have such abstract. So this is the abstract, and the 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 if you follow the paper that I published, so you can find always I followed such procedure. This procedure always I did in my works. So also you can follow and search that abstract how we did. This is another structure abstract. You can see is not 300. You can see this is a abstract that a medical journal is from my paper that is a medical journal needs such abstract background and objective. So you can see here this different with the above one. So this is a structure one and is not limited to the number of words. We cannot see that. The method and result conclusion, but maybe, for example, they had no here provided the implication. Okay, then another thing is introduction. After abstract, we should go for introduction section. And this section, from my experience, the editor will read the introduction truly. Reviewer also will read and then judge about the paper. The most important, from my experience, the most important part of the manuscript is its introduction, discussion, and conclusion. Other part may be not novel, but if you provide good discussion, or paper will be a value for the editor and reviewer. So they will consider. My my suggestion is that we put our effort more on the introduction, because the first section they read will be introduction. Even many reviewer will not go very in depth on the method, but they will read the introduction, because everything we will must provide in introduction, even in the or problem statement or contribution, and I will discuss about this. For four main elements that we have in the introduction, what do we know already about the topic? Okay, so the topic we must be very clear for us. We must have a knowledge about that. If we don't have knowledge, we must read and get the knowledge. So here, the first step is about the knowledge of the topic we want to do. We must be aware about the recent work on the topic. About this introduction, we will have, okay, here I will provide three main parts for the introduction. Here you can read later if you want to get some idea. I summarize some key points here, and you can read later if you want. But three main parts I found that in each introduction we have. Paragraph 1, what we know. Paragraph 2, what we don't know. And what this is a problem statement. This second one is problem statement. And the third paragraph, what we did to find out. And here we will list down our contribution and objective. Later example I will provide for you. But many say that these three paragraphs we should have. But from my paper, I repeated this one. And this not just one paragraph. We can have 2, 3 paragraphs and repeat this, because limited, for example, problem statement cannot be summarized in one paragraph or 2, maybe more than 2 paragraphs we have. So after introduction, what we know about the literature, about the topic, we must provide our problem statement. Problem statement, if we provide, then we list our contribution, objective, everything here, and later I will show that. So here The second part will be written. This can be done for more than one paragraph, and I will show that. Okay, this is an example. Okay, here we can see I provided here. It is important to have a good problem statement after. Okay, we start the introduction. After introduction of the previous work, for example, what they did about, for example, sustainability. So here, then we go for the problem statement. The problem statement, this is from my paper, you can see. It is important to have a good problem statement in the introduction section. So here, this can be a problem statement. Problem statement means that what is late in the previous research, what is the shortcoming of the previously literature on the topic. So we will provide here. Then it is better we list the objective of our work after problem statement. Okay, what is the objective of the work? And we will provide here. So if we do the problem statement, then we must list down the objective, maybe 2 point, 3 point, and any. So this structure mainly in 90% of my papers I follow. And I find that this the editor will like, and always I did such job. After the problem, you can see here again, before listing the contribution, have a general contribution statement. You can see here, then I provide the list of my contribution. So here, if I go for first part is the problem statement, then we must list down our objective, go for, after objective, we should have an introduction of contribution, then provide a list of contribution. This flow I always repeated in my papers, and they find that is a appropriate way to provide the introduction. So introduction will get first introduction, then problem statement, listing the objective, have a good introduction section, then listing the introduction. That I did here. The following contribution can be mentioned in the present research work. So I listed this. I provided some example here for you in another paper also. This is from my previous published paper, and I did such work in other works. Okay, and then in the last section of our introduction, we must have one table that lists all abbreviation. You can see this is optional. This all paper will not involve such. If we don't have, so we can remove. But some students send a paper to me, and then they was confused where they put. The appropriate place for this part is that after we list our contribution, then go for this part for to provide the table, and then conclude the introduction. The remainder of this research is organized as follows. In section 2, we present a review. So here, the last paragraph was introduction. This, I think, the way that I did, and I could get very good research acceptance on the journal. So this fellow is from my experience. Another thing is related work. So I am saying about this, for example, this part, this part. So here I did for abstract main introduction, then go for the literature review. So literature review, as you can see here, has also its procedure. This one. We should have an updated reference in the related work section, provide a comprehensive table about the related work, and this we should have a general overview of their work. We should read the papers that previously published, and then discuss the papers nicely, go see the result and discuss the result. Break into several paragraph and section. We should have the related work in several paragraph, and many for my paper, many part it has, for example, many section, and just not several paragraph, just I had some section, because that related work, for example, I provided for one part for deep learning, one part for disease diagnosis and machine learning. So it is important we have some sections about that, and then make a conclusion. Many people, many researchers just provide just list the paper, and they will not make a conclusion in the related work section. I always do make a conclusion, but this part is optional. I suggest that we do this part because if the reader read the related work section, so he or she must conclude what is the problem of this work you listed, what is the problem of the work you discussed. So here in the related work section, we must make a conclusion also. But many people don't do that. Okay, the comprehensive paper as table I mentioned, we must provide a table such in the related work section. And the reference must be updated at least 10-year or 5-year, any we have here we provide. So this table will helpful for the reviewer to have a good perception of the related work section. You can see this such table I provide in my papers. And another thing is that it is important to have a conclusion in the related work section. Okay, after we discuss whole papers and this paper discussed, we must provide here a conclusion. Based on the previous literature on sustainability assessment, it was found that there is a limited number of studies for assessing system but implementing clustering and prediction machine learning. So I read a whole paper in this issue. In this part, I read whole paper. So I concluded this part. Okay, this conclusion section we must provide in the introduction part. So it is important also many reviewers seeking for this part. We go for the next one, that it is important to discuss each paper and provide the result. This must be done in several paragraphs. So some people could just see the abstract and list, but you should go in depth in the methodology part, in the research part, and every part you should explore, then provide the result. Numerical result will be helpful in the related work section. So if we list the paper only, will not be helpful. We just provide their method. If they have result, they result. If they have data set, we provide the data set. The key result of that paper is important we provide. To do so, each paper must be completely checked through its abstract, problem statement in the introduction, and method and result. So this is important. We provide a nice discussion for each paper. The result, the discussion, the problem, the method they use, and everything. So this must be in line with this table. Any paper here we list in the table, we must discuss it later. So I did such job in my paper, and you can read. I provided the references for each part. You can see this paper, for example, I have a conclusion in the introduction. I provided the URL. You can check the papers. So here, the next part is the method, the methodology part. We should have this procedure also. Providing a general framework will be helpful. Many researchers do the method, but they don't provide the general framework. This is the main issue. So I think we should provide a general framework for our method. Explanation of each step involved in the framework. So the general framework, when we provide, we should have the steps also. Each step must be explained. We must have an explanation for each step. Providing mathematical background of the technique is important, and we must provide their aim. So here, if we have the technique in the framework, we should provide their mathematical background. So the mathematical background, if you provide this, will helpful. Providing algorithm in the flow chart that I do and show the example. The algorithm can be in the flow chart. This make a very good visualization of the paper, and good perception of the reviewer about our works. So cite the main author of the technique. If we provide any technique in your or method, we should cite the main author of the technique. For example, first time who developed that method. One of my paper rejected because of this. I just provided one technique, mathematical background of one technique that the reviewer mentioned. You forgot to cite that the people that developed that technique. So that give me a perception. Yeah, the reviewer is right, and I made a mistake. Why I should not, for example, cite the main author of that paper? That algorithm that he proposed, because that is their contribution and we must appreciate for them. This is happened for me in 2014, that after that I go for the main author of that technique, who is, and I will cite. Providing mathematical background of the technique in figure, I follow something. This is my experience, and I find that if you cannot provide the mathematical background in the text, but you can provide them in the figure. So this also will be helpful, and the reviewer can see better flow of our paper. Here, for example, I provided from my paper. This is a general framework that show each step. What is the stage of the work? What will be input? What will be output of the research of the method? So this step we must slowly provide, and then each section we should explain. Each part we should explain. What is this section aim we provided? What is the overall sustainability here? What is this part? So what is the aim of clustering, and then cart method, and then final result. So each step we should provide to get the result. It is important to have a general framework for the proposed method. I provided the URL here, you can see, and what I did here. So this another example for my information system science research. Here I did. This is for another, I provided the URL here. This fellow we should provide for any paper we have. Even some paper is very, for example, the contribution is very low, but we provide such in our paper. Many paper the author provide without such framework, that will not be helpful, and the reviewer cannot find easily the flow of the paper in the method part. So this another issue, as I mentioned, we should provide all algorithm in the flowcharts. And this, I think, will again help the reviewer to give to provide a good mark on when evaluate the paper. So editor will like also such flowchart in our papers. Then any, for example, algorithm we have, we can have such flowchart. What is the step to get the final result? Another thing I mentioned, we should provide the algorithm in the figures, mathematical background in the figure. That I recently did in my research, and this 2021 I published. So this work also you can see that I provide, it is recommended that, it is not necessary, but it is recommended that we provide mathematical background of the technique in the figure. The technique can be explained first, then we provide such figure. So I must explain this without any mathematical things, but we explain this process, then provide such figure in the method part. Okay, we go for the data analysis and result. So here, this part also very important. We should explain, discuss about this. In the data analysis and result, we should provide complete explanation of the data collection and its procedure. This the thing after the reviewer read the introduction, we go for data collection. Then this part must be very accurate, and we should provide where the data has been collected, when the data has been collected, even some reviewer ask what months you collected data, how many data you collected, how many. So the clear procedure here is important, providing a snapshot to show where the data has been collected. I always provide such, and I can show the example in my paper. Visualization of the collected data. Many software we have for visualization. So if we have a collection of the data, so we must visualize them. This still make a good perception for the evaluation, reviewer evaluation. Providing a flowchart for data analysis. I always provide this. Providing a flowchart for data analysis and providing table, figure, and explanation of data analysis in numerical output. I always provide this in my paper. Some part, for example, I don't have the numerical output, but I still will provide in the figure and tables. So this I will show again. And the last, providing comparison with the previous work. In data analysis and result, without this part, will give a doubt to the editor and reviewer. Okay, you did a job while you didn't compare. Even your work is not method, but is a, for example, research that in the thing is not novelty of the method, but still the result should be compared with the previous method, previous result. So whether these results are in line with the previous research result or no. So here providing comparison is means that we should compare our result or method output with the previous methods result. So here this part is very important. And still, even we have old methods, we should compare. We should have this comparison in our papers. So here you can see, actually this part exactly we can provide in any paper. And when what is the or data and what is output of each method. This I also provided in my work, and it is recommended that we provide a flowchart for data analysis. This flowchart is important. You see, you can see, for example, 70% I get for training, 30% for testing. Still, this can be improved. For example, when the data has been collected, where is the source of this data? For example, we can add some element still before this. So this part must be completed. This part must be comprehensive enough, and this data collection is important part and its analysis. Another thing, as I mentioned, we provide figure that where we collected data. For example, my recent research was about the spa tourism in Malaysia. So you can see this part, I crawl whole data from this website and exactly provided the procedure, how I collected data, where the data collected, and what type of data, what type of the data I collected, and the nature of the data what was. So here, providing a snapshot to show where the data has been collected will be beneficial for the reader. So here I provided such a snapshot in my paper. I think more than 5 paper I provided in the tourist search. So I crawl the data, and the reviewer can see exactly refer to the website and see the data, what I did and how I crawl the data. It, here also another thing is we should provide the nature, what is the nature of our data. For example, an example of collected data from TripAdvisor I provided here, providing example to show how it's the nature of the data is important. So this also will give a good perception to the reviewer. And providing complete explanation of data collection and its procedure. I always provide there, even the website, when I crawl the data, when I get the data. So this part must be comprehensive and enough comprehensive to and accurate how many data we collected, when the data collected. For example, here I mentioned I collected the data from 2008 to 2018 from this website, and I crawl from this website. So this will give a good perception, and 5,000 rating I collected. So numerical result here will be helpful in data collection part. And another thing is we can provide some statistic or from the data. What is ST, min, maximum, minimum of the data? This also in majority of my work, if applicable, I will provide that. So this will show the nature of the data, and it is important be comprehensive enough. Every part I mention, I follow in my works. From the flowchart, from the snapshot of the where I collected data, and then explanation and numerical, for example, uh, uh, statistical analysis of my data. Here you can see, and this gives a good perception. So another part is visualization. You can see in my paper, I provide always good visualization on the result. So this part is important. People just provide table. Some researchers provide just figure, but from my experience, we should have both of them in our paper, and figure should be with tables to show the result. Just providing the figure will not be accurate enough. For example, in one my work, the reviewer mentioned you should provide such, for example, result in the table to show the exact number. So I must provide such table. So it is important. Both we have in our paper.
Ini artinya apa? Jangan dibacakan.
Okay. Here you can see, okay, this is the figure of output. So visualization is important. And as I mentioned, we can also provide some numerical example in the result part. It will be beneficial to have some numerical example. So I provided from my work. If applicable, we can have such. And also from the software, we should provide some snapshot for the analysis, what we do the analysis in the software. And this can be in the appendix. This type of thing can be in the appendix, and we can include them in the appendix to provide, again, positive perception about our work to the reviewer. And then explanation of the result must be in the text. And we should include the numerical result in the explanation part of the result. So here, the thing, this also you can see the example that I provided in this URL. So the example you can see here, I also compare my work with the previous method. So here, if I compare, I must provide the numerical example. What they did, what I did also. So here, this is important, have a good explanation about the result together with the numerical result. Then go for the next step is the discussion and research implication. So research implication will will include introduction of importance of the work, discussion of overall results, citation of updated reference, confirming the result with the previous result, providing research implication from from different perspective. For example, we should provide research implication about the theoretical implication, managerial implication, any methodological implication. So this is depend on your paper, what you did. So you should provide different implication about the result of your study and fully discuss what was the advancement of your work over the existing work. This is all we will provide in the discussion section. And as again, I provided some example from my work. Exactly, I provided same flow ID. So first I started with the importance of this work I did, discussed the result that I had, the overall result, cited the updated reference here is very important because we should confirm the result with the previous research. It updated reference will be helpful. confirming result with the previous research. Maybe, for example, some research also confirm our results, so we should provide them. And then I provide always the implication. You can see here the implication I provided, define everything I provided based on the procedure I did. For example, here this is introduction. Big data analytics in hospitality and tourism has been an important application field in the recent research. So this is introduction, and then I go for the discussion. What my research result was, and then I go in the last section for the implication of the research, and then I go for the conclusion in the last section that we should introduce the problem that this paper investigated. I will show that, address the research contribution, providing overall achievement, providing a strength and weakness of our work, limitation of the work is different with the strength and weakness, and then supply several solid feature research direction. I also always follow this structure in my papers. So first I introduce the problem. Here I introduce, then I go for contribution in this paper what I did. For example, the aim of this work was to develop what. So here I provided the contribution of my work. The result I provided here, overall achievement. Overall achievement I provided. Then I went for the limitation and drawback. Or research could also further this, but however, feature work could be, and I concluded. Here I can see better shortcoming. This part, this conclusion will not include, for example, the weakness, but in this I provided the weakness. For example, this paper has applied non-incremental version of higher order SVD. So was a drawback. Was a drawback of the research or weakness. So I provided here. But limitation can be, for example, the data set or data was collected from, for example, one website. So this is a limitation. This is different with the weakness of the word. So, and then I provided the direction here. What I, for example, provided. Hence, in the feature work, we can provide this. And this is the how I just general discussion about the how we can provide the main section of the paper. Maybe this help you in your research also. So this part is finished, and then I go for the proceeding and journal selection. Still we have time, Prof?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I think
Dr.
we still
Nilasi.
have
Yes.
berapa menit, Amir?
I think still 30 minutes, around that 30 minutes.
So I can continue.
Yes, we can continue, Dr. Nilasi.
Okay, thank you. So the next step is actually this is a general overview of the how we can develop the paper, the body of the paper. This you can see the example, and I think they will help you in also how you visualize, how you provide the result, how do the methodology part, how you can do the introduction, problem and everything you can find in my papers. And I always provided a general procedure for my publication. This is from my perspective and my experience I did, and you can also maybe follow that. So here, after we prepare our manuscript, we must select the journal or proceeding to publish our work. So here, I provided the link for main publisher. The main publisher is Springer, Taylor, Nature, Elsevier, Wiley, Emerald, Sage, and IEEE. My favorite publisher has been Elsevier. I always found 90% of my paper has been Elsevier. Why? Because it has a very clear procedure, and is in the short time I can get published my work. For example, if I get acceptance next week, will be online without any APC charge. I will not provide for this paper, all free. So never I paid for Elsevier journals, and major 90% of my paper has been in Elsevier. This publisher is very good and is my first choice for my publication. As I did, and then I go for the Springer. So here, this is based on your, for example, experience. You should go for one publisher or two publishers. My publisher has been mainly in Elsevier, and I highly suggest that you go for some publishers that has easy flow, and they publish very fast your work. No, the reviewing processing, review process has in all publisher we have a same review procedure, but publication is important. How after you get accepted, then publish. So this for my experience about the Elsevier, I had a very good experience on this publisher. Nature, I published one work, and then this publisher mainly we should, I think, some journal we should pay. For example, in for my work, I also had a APC for one Nature paper. So other also publisher are good, but I have no experience about the, for example, Emerald, Taylor. Such I have very small, maybe one or two, but Elsevier 90% I have. So I also suggest this publisher. And you can see Elsevier is very comprehensive publisher, is reviewer, many reviewer, good procedures, submission system it has, and I also like this to go. So the question is that how we find a journal to submit or work. Three, three choice we can have. One is journal finder that I provided three example for you here. So these three example means that in each publisher we can have a journal finder. Wiley it has journal finder, Elsevier has its journal finder, and also others. For example, Springer also has. So we should go for this journal finder. We provide the abstract and topic, then they will find the journal for us. And maybe from my experience is inaccurate enough, we go for the suggestion that this journal finder provide. And another thing is Scopus. I provided the link for here. You can refer to this link and you check. And other thing is this ranking journal that mainly is Scopus. So this is another option, and I highly suggest we go for this one. And this one is JCR. JCR is the most accurate choice, and we must go for this third one. I always go for this because many journals here discontinued, but then we are not aware about that. We submit and our paper published, then we find that 2020 it discontinued. So we cannot trust to this list, but still we must be very careful because we check some fake journal stuff, and I never go for this. But if you go for this part, you must check nicely there. Then see the journal credibility. See the journal is good or no. Just the matter is not about publication, but the credibility of journal, quality of journal also important. So for me, I always go for the JCR. JCR is an important platform, and may hope in the next workshop we had exactly I will analyze these three, and I will go. But I have provided some snapshot just here, how we select the journal, how we go for the queue, and what queue is important to be selected for our paper. Then we can do a good analysis. Here, this is journal finder. This is, as I mentioned, this is for Elsevier. Elsevier journal finder, we go abstract and the title and abstract, then keyword, we can find the journal. You can see, for example, it recommended to me telematic, for example, transportation research, journal of information management. This provide the rank. So we may select the journal that we want to submit or work. The impact factor is clear, the site score, what site score it had, and acceptance rate is very important. So what acceptance rate it has, and also is important for us to know how many week or will be or for first decision. This is important. First decision is very important for me because first decision, if I do, I get the first decision, I can get after 2 months maybe my paper accepted. So this is actually the first decision is important. So here, for example, this is 13 week, but this have 4 weeks. So I will publish my paper to the journal that has a very short time for the first decision. This is time to publication after will be so. Uh, this journal finder is still helpful for some research for the researcher to investigate this part. And this is JCR. This is JCR. You can also go for the JCR to check the paper, the impact factor, the quality of the journal, the Q. Also, you can go. So if you click the, for example, the journal title, you can find its Q, the, the rank of that journal in the JCR. This is that Scopus ranking. So here H index for us important. For me, if I go for this website, the H index of the journal is important. And we must check this journal is still in the Scopus for 2020 or no. Here we cannot be accurate enough. This is the ranking of the journal. It can be seen that we have the queue of this journal, and the first thing is important for me to select the journal is its impact factor. For me, the priority is impact factor. That you can see how it will be calculated. The number of citation and number of recent item or papers. So we'll calculate the impact factor. So impact factor is main element that I select the journal. And this will not be here, but in this JCR we can find. So I highly suggest that the JCR will be the best part to go for the selection of the journal. And this is the things that we have. And another thing is when we want to select a journal, we must be aware about the scope of the journal. We go for the scope and read the scope, whether our paper is the scope of this journal or no. And some journal provide that this is not our scope, type of submission not to be considered. So here they list also, some journal list. So we must follow them. We must follow this the topic that they cover. Another thing is the guideline of the for author. This part must be carefully we read this part to select appropriate journal, to select the thing that they want. For example, they mention all references should be numerical, no upper. So here the guide for the author is important. Still, we can go and check here. I always read and then submit my work. Without reading this part, this is a mistake, and later I will show that this mistake. This part we should read carefully and then submit our work. The type of reference, what document they need to for our paper to be submitted, and other matters. This is guide of the paper. You can see any element, references, table, reference, and query, everything they provided in the guide for author. We must read. So here the manuscript submission part is important. What manuscript submission procedure we should have here? You can see. Okay. The first step is we should provide our paper in the latex or Word. I provided here for you. Latex also if you are not very familiar, this platform I provided for you here is online. And I did some, for my nature paper, I did here. So latex is very, I have no experience about latex, but this platform could easily give me the format, everything, and I prepare my paper in this format. Word also can be online or offline in your computer. You can do, but it is important we provide the references in in a software. So this software, actually the main mistake of the author is that they do not provide the references through a software, and this is a big mistake. And if you provide references manually, this may be this will not be accurate. So if we want to have a good paper, we must have a software. I provided the link here for you. This link is important, and the software you can download and use in your manuscript, for in your manuscript preparation for the reference. So this software is EndNote. I always use that, and I highly also suggest this software to be used. Other maybe use other software, I think Mendeley, for example, but I have a bad experience with the Mendeley, and the reference in some part is not accurate with that software. But EndNote still is my high priority. Prepare a cover letter, that is very important. I will show an example to how we provide our cover letter, and then check the manuscript for plagiarism using a software. This software is, I highly also suggest Turnitin. Other software are good, but they are not enough, accurate enough. As I am editor, I can see the software that is Turnitin exactly the software that I have in editorial system in the Elsevier. So this software is my high suggestion to be used for similarity checking. So I always use this Turnitin, and you can simply buy account for your papers. And this is important. Before we submit our paper, we check actually. Even we are sure that our paper we write every sentence, but again we check. We better check because some sentence may be repeated. So we must be careful about this. And my friends, my co-author had bad experience about this. They never take the papers, for example, from other material, but still editor send that your work has high, for example, similarity about 21%. She was amazed, just why this have, because this all part I did. So this is actually we must check this similarity through a software before or submission. So we can better reduce or, for example, similarity before we submit the work. I always do this software for my similarity checking. And before submission, we should have a or seed ID that I have also. I provided the link here for you. You can also go and register. And another thing is Google Scholar. We must active or Google Scholar. Even we have one paper. So these two profile we must make sure we have. And then submission system registration. We go for the submission system registration, then submit the work. This step we must provide for our manuscript submission. So here, hope we can, in the next workshop, we go inside these softwares and one by one check, and then we have a workshop on the teaching how this software can be used. So this is we can have in the next workshop. And this is a cover letter. This cover letter I provided for you actually is a very good, it has a good point. The first thing is address the editor by their name. Here we can, dear professor, for example, Mario or another. So if you have the name, if you don't have dear editor of Applied Soft Computing or that journal, Then we go for the state that your paper has not published, or the paper is not under consideration by the other year. This is third part. But second part is include your manuscript title and the name of the journal. I always do such, and then after I call the editor, then I say that this manuscript, the title of manuscript, what I did, everything I provide in the this part. So this cover letter, the step we must go and then provide our cover letter based on this section I provided. This is, I provide also the link of this. You can see here, you can download this cover letter. This cover letter is the, I think can help you in your work also, this example. And another question is that where I go for the, okay, I introduce here a software, and this software, if we have, this software and note, so here how we can get the reference style, I provided here the link, and we can go, any journal here has its style, and then we can copy or this style to the style of EndNote. This I provided for you, and you can get the exact style from this URL. So this URL will be helpful still, and you can get the exact type, for example, APA style, IEEE style, or any journal you can find here. If you don't find an exact journal, you can still check for the reference style and then get you from here. Then put in the program file EndNote and this style. You can install the software. If you don't have, you may email me, or I will provide for you the software. And then review procedure. The last part is review procedure of our work. Type of review we have, the peer review procedure, publication status or submission status, multiple submission, and comment on the reviewer comments. So this is the review procedure. In the review process, we have this section. Then mainly we have the peer review is single blind, double blind, open review, post-publication review, collaborative, and transparent peer review. So the main part is single and double. So this depends on the journal, what they consider. What they consider for the review procedure is not in our hand. The journal will decide what to do. So based on their request, we should not provide our name or affiliation in the paper. So this part is important. We read, then we submit the paper. They say that title page should be separated from the body of manuscript. So they mentioned about this in the that part I mentioned before in this guideline. They mentioned here, exactly they mentioned. So this is another thing, and this is a review procedure. We submit a work. We, if the editor like this paper, they will assign the reviewer. Then review comment will be collected. We get the notification. Then we do the comment, and this will be repeated to get final acceptance or rejection. We cannot guarantee the paper after review or doing comment we get acceptance finally. No, one or two paper, 3 times I revised, but the editor no, reviewer rejected my paper. So editor also sometimes follow the reviewer, then they reject. Then I submitted to other journal, get simply acceptance. This is actually come from the reviewer, how, who is the reviewer and how its perception about the work. We cannot guarantee our paper. Sometimes the paper they send to another reviewer, that other reviewer will reject your paper, because that the first reviewer they receive, they maybe is not available. So other reviewer will read and check the comment, then still he is not happy and reject the paper. So we cannot say that after 3 times or 2 times or paper we will finally accept. No, we cannot say. Some paper I had rejection after 2 or 3 times. So here I provided for you the step of the paper. When we submit, we journal, editor invited other editor, the main editor will invite other editor, then go for a lead editor, the reviewer invite or reviewer assign. So then we go for the under review. After review finish, require review completed or ready for submit decision. This is depend on the journal. Decision pending, and finally, this means that editor, second editor uh, had some decision, and then reject, accept, or revise, and then we should follow the procedure of a review. So review, comment, and error. Here I provided some snapshot from my paper. So here the thing, the with editor means that my paper is the with editor. This show that my paper has been rejected before I get rejection. This part transfer means that editor no like my paper and is not in the scope, so they mention you should transfer. Sometimes editor just want to transfer because he don't like my paper. Maybe he say that you must transfer your paper to the other journal, so I should accept or not. And with editor means that with editor still, then after he no like, he will go to the other part, maybe transfer, maybe I get acceptance, some acceptance in my paper. Editor invited means that uh, first editor invited other editor, second editor. Then this means that reviewer assignment that this editor, second editor or first editor invited the reviewer. Under review means that under review, first or second or third, any under review, the status is same. Required review completed means that my paper has been reviewed at least with two reviewers, so ready for decision. So here maybe after 1 week we can get a result. And revise means that I get revision from this paper. So in 2021 I get revised from two ISI papers. So, and this is the main status we have in our papers, and we can still have another status maybe, but this is the majority of status I could provide for you here. And then I can say that multiple submission, maybe you have one paper and okay, I sent to many journal, get very fast acceptance from. This is wrong. Actually, I never suggest that you do and not ethical. We cannot do that. And this will waste the editor and reviewer. And if they find this make an issue for you, for your that position you have. The editorial portfolio will be completely stopped, and the duplicate submission will be discovered in the some, for example, publisher. We cannot do such job. So don't send your paper to the second journal until you receive the final decision from the first journal. So if we send the paper to the journal, we should wait to get a final decision from that paper. And then conclusion, we should acknowledge anybody help us, any give us the material, data, everything we should, any grant we had. So in the acknowledgement part, we should have such. We should provide this. Main reason for rejection, here I will provide, and then you can see here, the main reason for rejection from my perspective, not clear and certain about, we are not clear about the contribution of our work. And paper is not well in the scope of that journal we have. Does not, we didn't do the answers to a clear question in the paper. And we didn't reach, this question in our paper. Inconsistency section do not connect well. Inconsistency is very important because many people provide reference in two types. One number, one is upper. This is not, we must be consistent in the paper writing. We should be very accurate. in the referencing, anything. For example, if the number, if the variable must be italic, so we must provide them italic. Every part we should be consistent. Inconsistency, all I always see the paper first. If I see something wrong, I reject immediately, because that this show that author is not very careful about their writing. So first time I reject, because this is not value. We publish something is wrong and inconsistent. What was promised is not delivered. Outdated literature review, major methodological problem. If we are providing a novel method, so here we or methodology is not novel, so we cannot publish. Replication of previous study. Similarity is very important, that many authors reject get rejection because of this, and maybe they are not aware. Maybe some copy, even they say that we are copy in the introduction is, this is no problem. So one sentence, also one sentence, you must rewrite, and you, this is the very important part. And another thing is the writing have we don't have a good comment on the reviewer comment. So comment on the reviewer comment is very important. Fail to follow the guideline. So another matter I didn't provide here is the language of the work. So language of the work is important. We should be very careful in the writing of our paper. The simple sentence we should use. You can see in my paper, I did followed other paper, and pattern learning is important. What the other paper, for example, had writing in the conclusion. So the sentences they give, I must get idea from them. So here, this part also, we had the main rejection, reason for rejection. And then the following problem appear most too frequently: submission of paper which are clearly out of scope, failure to format the papers, and inappropriate suggested reviewer. You cannot suggest your reviewer as they are your friend. So this make a bad perception, give a bad perception to the editor and other part. Inadequate response to the reviewer, inadequate standard of English, resubmission on the rejected paper without revision. We don't revise, then we submit. This is from editor con this statement. And then, so here, the problem we had always in the papers, formatting issue, sending to wrong editor or journal, long title, grammatical spelling error, too few or too many references, which must be have appropriate number of references, missing reference, revealing identity of author in the paper. Some, if we have the double blind reviews, so we cannot provide this. Table and figure are missing, structured abstract missing, and other things that this happened for me. And we should, this come from that we should follow the journal guideline. And then the finally, we should, if we want to have an acceptance, attention to the detail, check and double check your work. This is, I always do this, because one time I just write and don't send a paper. I read 3 times, more than 3 times a paper. So then I check the paper for its consistency. Every part I check, then I submit the work. English must be good as possible, means that we should have a simple sentences. Short sentences and also long sentences will not be helpful. Long sentences must be break into some short and clear sentences. Presentation is very important for me, and I do my best for presentation. If my paper presentation is good, I had a good experience on the acceptance. This is a good thing that we must have. Take your time with the revision. Actually, the revision of the paper is an important part, and I put my time for the revision. Even, for example, one paper I get two after 2 years. Anytime I do the revision, I follow the reviewer comment. The reviewer comment is important. If we don't do, just wasting the time and just repeating and wasting the time for this submission. We must revise the paper appropriately. acknowledgement is important. So previous unpublished paper should be considered an original. Critically evaluate your own manuscript. We should first evaluate our manuscript and then submit. Then ethical rule must be followed. So here ethical rule means that citation of the works, citation of figure, every part we should follow to get final acceptance. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi, for such a comprehensive presentation. As we've seen just now, there are a lot of step-by-step and trick that we need to follow, starting from constructions of the idea, data collections, writing the paper until it published, and also the tips how our paper easily to be accepted by the reviewer. So, operator, can you share the screen?
So any question here?
Not yet. Operator, can you set our next agenda? Okay. Come to our next agenda. It is a Q&A session. I believe most of us already have question in mind, even before Dr. Nilasi finished his presentation. You can ask a question by raise a hands feature in the Zoom, or you can type your name. You can type your question in the Zoom chat box by following the format, institution abbreviations, your nickname and question that you want to ask to the Dr. Nilasi. Anyone have a question? I have not seen someone raise the hand or type anything in the chat for the question. Okay, I think we have a questions from Dr. Masita. Operator, can you copy paste the question and share the screen so that everyone in this, every participant can see what is the question that Dr. Masita asked. One second, I think the operator is working on the questions. Help. Let me type the questions. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so this is the question from Dr. Masita. She is from UBD. Is also head of the scientific committee from social track. So Dr. Nilasi, what is a view or advice how to make it applicable to social sciences area? So this is the question from Dr. Masita. Dr. Nilasi, time is short to answer the questions.
The question is how to make it, can you make it clear, this question? What is view or advice how to make it applicable to social science area? But the acceptance or what?
I think or the abstract or the
applicable?
paper. Yeah, I think. Oh, Dr.
Nilasi, if I may.
Yes, okay.
Can I my question? Okay, what I've noticed from you, first and foremost, thank you very much for sharing this. This is, as I said in the chat, this is one impressive workshop, a lot of information, a lot of secret tips that I've never heard before. In terms of
Doctor, this is actually 10 years I am doing the research. This all come from my perspective. Still, this workshop is not very detailed, and we will look. I and Prof. Echo hope we can that a very in detail workshop about acceptance, how we can get simply acceptance, and the trick of the journal. So this is just a general workshop within the limited time.
Okay, yes. From all the workshops that I've attended on paper publication, yes, it's all on surface level. I know some bits and pieces of it, but when you lumped it together like this is one comprehensive information that you have shared, which is thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It will be very helpful for those who are going for quality journals, especially. You have highlighted the journals which are the good quality ones like Elsevier, Sage, Springer, and so forth. My question is, because your area is in ICT, computer engineering, and all. So, from your point of view, how different are these from social sciences? I don't know whether you have experience in publishing in the social
Sure,
sciences area.
sure.
Yeah.
My publication has been some part in the social science. So this actually, I don't know. Your background also is social science, correct?
I'm in education, actually.
Education.
Yeah.
Education, as I know, any publisher has its journal on the context you are working. For example, education. Taylor has journal on the education.
Mm.
Elsevier has journal in the education. You can see the category, and not just engineering. Elsevier has many good journal education. For example, KAE, okay, that's computer in a higher education. So that many good journal, and Q1 and a star journal we have in the publisher. So we should get a, category of this journal and list what the topic they explore. Then we go for the novel topic on that area. For example, that journal I mentioned, I I actually get very good topic from that journal, and then I develop new idea and submit it to other journal in this area. This is a trick. This is from me. If I want to publish at least in a JCR journal, this is from my experience, I say that I go first find the most important journal in that area. In this education you mentioned, I developed one paper recently and submitted to one Q journal that I explored that how higher education a student skill can be improved through online review and comment in the social media. So this methodology I used was machine learning, and that journal I got idea they don't publish methodological paper. So
Mm.
I get the idea from that journal that is high rank, and he never accept my paper that I did, because my paper is very good, and no, I get accepted in Q1 and more than that impact factor that journal has. But the idea get from that. From my part was machine learning, and that journal I got idea they don't publish methodological paper. So
Mm.
hello.
Yes, yes, Dr. Nasi, I still hear you.
Uh, then, then I get the idea from that journal, develop my idea, and submit to other journal. This is a trick, and I
Mhm.
do that. So here we go for their high rank journal, get the idea from them, develop our idea, and then submit to the that journal VA. This is a trick.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi, for the answer, and Dr. Masita for the questions. I hope it can make it clear. I like the what is that Dr. Nilasi say, that we need to conduct some additional workshop for the publications more detail. I think this is a really good idea for Dr. Nilasi. So I think I have another question. The operator can soup, I think from Hassan, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so Dr. Nilasi is another question from, I think he is a master student from UTM. What is the period of acceptance paper from the journal?
Mr. Hassan, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, as I mentioned, we have different publishers. Some publishers are free of charge, and some publishers are with APC. From my experience that I published 2 or 3 papers in APC journal, they are very fast. And within maybe 2 months, you can get acceptance and publication. But that paper I published, I developed some special issue, then I published the paper, and I still never paid to that journal. But they very publish in totally in 3 months my paper, because that journal are very fast and they are APC journal. So means that APC journal are fast, based on my experience that the average I send the paper. And my friend also, for example, get the impact factor 4 or 5 from the some journal within 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So they pay the fee. And but I not suggest, because for me the majority 99% of my paper has been free of charge. And why I do this? Because this type of publication give me good experience. If you want to be a good researcher, you should get experience from the other parties. For example, from the other reviewer, editors. So means that if we just want to be very fast or publication, this is not good, and I don't suggest very fast we publish this without comment, some journal no comment, no. The daily I must work, and any year I submit at least 20 paper, and I am waiting for 5 or 6 paper per year in the ISI journal. Means that the acceptance rate of the not a non-APC journal is high. For example, the average is between 6 months to 1 year, 2 year. For example, my last publication was in 2 year. During 2 year, I could get final acceptance. So here, the minimum I, from my experience, has been about 6 months from the free journal, free of charge journal. So here depend on the journal acceptance rate and also acceptance period of the acceptance. This is we cannot exactly find, but in that slide I provided in my presentation, when we search the journal in the journal finder, we can see the average. So you also follow that, because that average is somehow accurate, and we can see that that journal follow that, because this is editor A. Editor want to give a very have a good journal, and the procedure must be very accurate. So the editor will give on that average time the acceptance or rejection or first decision that they mention the journal finder. I think you follow the journal finder in that publisher I provided for you, 3 I provided, but other also you can explore how is the acceptance rate. And then go for the history of the paper. Uh, when I submit a paper to a journal, I go at least see 5 paper, 6 paper to that journal. What has been the period of that acceptance? For example, 6 months, okay, I submit to this journal. But still,
Thank you, Dr. Nilasi.
okay, still is not important for me the period of the acceptance, but the comment is more important for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi, for the answer. So I think we have another question from Mr. Shen. Can operator share the screen for the next questions? Okay. This question came from University Malaya from Mr. or Dr. Shen. Dr. Nilasi, please advise if the editor rejects us and suggests to transfer to other journal. Should we accept the transfer or should we do the submission by ourselves? Secondly, should we just submit to the other journal as in our original plan? Dr. Can you answer the questions?
I had this experience before, and the editor rejected my work, and I never followed them. I never transfer my papers. And I also highly suggest you don't follow them. You don't follow this, because that is maybe that is the editor. You can search better and find a suitable journal. And I don't suggest you simply transfer your paper to the other journal they mention. This is my suggestion. And I don't do this, and I never repeated this, because this is not what's suitable for me. We should search based on our perspective, or search and find the journal. This is my suggestion. Secondly, we should submit to other journal in our original plan. Means that Exactly, we followed that journal we submitted, but we should find the why. What is the reason of rejection? I think here we should check the paper 2 or 3 times. I do this, and anytime they transfer my work to the other journal, I felt that something is wrong in my paper, and maybe I ignore some part of the quality. So I hear this part, I improve my work and then submit. Exactly, immediately I don't submit the work to the other journal. I check, enhance, then submit. You also should do that, because this maybe you are not consistent with some part, referencing maybe, or other parts. For example, the variable you didn't provide accurately, and some other things. So I think here we should have a good revision skill, then submit.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi, for the answer. I hope it can answer the questions that Dr. Shin's asking. I think we have other question. I think it will be become our last question for today's session due to limited time that we have. Okay, the next question comes from Mr. Ms. Samafia Batul. What is your advice to publish research paper within short time? And what is the minimum or short time for publication? Dr. Nilasi, please answer the questions.
Okay, what is your advice to publish research paper within short time? This is actually depend on the where you want to publish. In Scopus journal or ISI journal, I think we cannot simply publish in short time or paper in the ISI journal. I never get such experience on the short time of publication in my paper. So if you want to still publish in within short time, maybe APC journal is a good choice. So here it is not it means that this APC journal will reduce the time of, for example, reviewing the paper and its acceptance and publication. So this is one choice. And but other thing is that if the indexes matter, so we should follow the normal procedure for the journal publication. If if the aim is ISI, for example. So if the aim is Scopus, many Scopus journal are very fast, and within 1 month they can publish simply your work. My aim has been just ISI and publication in JCR journal. So the short time was not important for me. If for you the short time is important, the first choice is APC journal. They are very fast.
Okay, thank you very
About
much.
the minimum of short time of for publication, here I provided the snapshot. For example, the journal you can rank based on their time of consideration. So for division, for acceptance, everything you can find in the journal finder. The best part is that you go and check your title, abstract, and keyword in the journal finder, that it will show that how long the paper will take to be reviewed, accepted, or rejected. Same.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilasi, for the answer. I think we can end our Q&A session due to the limited time we have. So thank you very much for the participant for asking the question to Dr. Nilasi. For those who are don't have a chance to ask the question, so you can send us an email so that we can later on answer the email to you. So operator, can we move to the next agenda? I think we are on the edge of our webinar today. Okay, so it's come from it's already come from photo sessions. So I ask everyone to turn on the camera so that we can operator will help us to screenshot our photo, and please give us the best smile and post because it will be published in our ITTP COVID-19. So everyone in Southeast Asia, I think around the world will see our face in the website. I have not seen anyone turn on the camera. Okay, 1 second, we are waiting. We're still waiting. There is some of us still not turn on the camera. Okay.
Maybe Dr. Nilasi, do you have your camera?
Oh,
One
yes.
second.
Okay. Almost everyone is starting to turn on the camera. I will make a count, but I will still waiting for others to turn on the camera, so it will be very nice to screenshot. Okay, I see a few of us already turn on the camera. Dr. Nilasi, are you with us? Hello, Dr. Nilasi. Okay, I think,
Yes.
okay, I will count. Okay, I will start count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me press first before we are moved to the next slide. Give me a second. My laptop is a bit slow. Okay, another session. 1, 2, 3. Okay, very nice. We have another slide, which is going to be our last slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think everyone already captured. Yes, 99 people. Okay, so operator, can you set the screens again before we are closing the webinar for today? Okay, can you go to the next slide? The photo session is already finished. Okay.
Hello, Sir Amir, your sound is missing.
Oh, hello. Is anyone still able to hear my sound? Hello?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So actually, I would like to remind to everyone that our committee already shared the survey form. So please make sure that your staff is answering or fill up the survey form so that our committee able to send or issue the certificate for today's webinar. So I think the committee already, you can snap the QR code if you have your smartphone with you, or if you don't have the smartphone with you, I already set the link to the Zoom chat box, so it's easy for you to fill up the survey form. This is really important because by fill up the survey form so that we can send and issue the certificate to all the participants that already joined with our webinar today. Okay, I think you can go to the next slide, Mr. Adam. I'm going to close the webinar. Okay, thank you very much for everyone coming to this webinar on the behalf of ITTP COVID-19 Secretariat. We would like to say very thank you for coming today. Even it was very short webinar, I hope it can bring beneficial to us. Thank you for coming, and I hope we can see you in the next webinar. See you, and until next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum. On the server. No, I wrong.
Sure, why not?
I didn't see.
Can stop the recording. Welcome.